Famous people who passed away in 1752. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. Samuel Ogle. He was born in 1694 and he died in May 1752. His age was 58 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British-American colonial governor known for establishing Annapolis as Maryland's capital and promoting horse racing in the colony. Under Ogle's leadership, Maryland quickly became engaged in a border dispute with Pennsylvania. Several settlers were taken prisoners on both sides, and Penn sent a committee to Governor Ogle to resolve the situation. Riot broke out in the disputed territory, and Ogle appealed to the King George II for resolution. The border dispute would not be settled until 1767, when Mason-Dixon line was recognized as the boundary between Maryland and Pennsylvania. William Bradford. He was born in May 1663 and he died in May 1752. His age was 89 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an early American colonial printer and publisher in British America. Bradford is best known for establishing the first printing press in the Middle Colonies of the 13 colonies, founding the first press in Pennsylvania in 1685 and the first press in New York in 1693. Bradford operated continuously printing establishments for 62 years, heading a family that would include printers and publishers for 140 years. He was also known for controversies regarding freedom of the press. Starting his printing career in London, Bradford emigrated to America in 1685. Francis Blumfield. He was born in July 1705 and he died in January 1752. His age was 47 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was smallpox. He was an English antiquarian who wrote A Country History of Norfolk, an essay towards a topographical history of the county of Norfolk. It includes detailed accounts of the city of Norwich, the borough of Bradford, and all parishes in the southernmost hundreds of Norfolk, but he died before completing it. This was done by a friend, Charles Parkin. The Norfolk historian Walter Ray related that, although no portrait of him was known to exist, Blumfield closely resembled the astronomer John Flamsteed. Joseph Butler. He was born in May 1692 and he died in June 1752. His age was 60 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an English Anglican bishop, theologian, apologist, and philosopher, born in Wantage in English county of Berkshire, now in Oxfordshire. His principal works are the 15 Sermons preached at Rolls Chapel and the Analogy of Religion. An English bishop and philosopher known for his seminal works on natural theology and moral philosophy, he is known for critiques of deism, Thomas Hobbes's egoism, and John Locke's theory of personal identity. He played a major, if underestimated, role in developing 18th century economic discourse, influencing the Dean of Gloucester and political economist Matthew Michel. He was born in 1705 and he died in April 1752. His age was 47 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an English politician and Royal Navy officer. He served in House of Commons as Member of Parliament for Westbury from 1748 until his death. He saw subsequent service as a lieutenant in the 70-gun ships of the line HMS Royal Oak and HMS Ipswich before he was promoted to commander in August 1738. At the same time, he received his first command, the 14-gun bomb vessel HMS Terrible, in which he served in the North Sea. He moved commands in 1740 to join 12-gun cutter HMS Swift, serving in English Channel. Henriette Anne of France, she was born in August 1727 and she died in February 1752. Her age was 24 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was smallpox. She was a French princess and the second child of King Louis XV and Queen Marie, the twin of Louis Elizabeth of France. She was also considered the favorite daughter of the royal couple and was known for her sweet and gentle personality. She was known for her piety and connection to the Bourbon monarchy. In 1739, Elizabeth left France to marry Infante Philippe, a younger son of King Philippe V of France. She was reportedly despondent about being separated from her twin. Benita Broberg, she was born in 1667 and she died in February 1752. Her age was 56 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She is perhaps the best-known woman from the history of the Faroe Islands. She has been the inspiration for novels and a film, A Faroe's Woman, remembered through folklore, often misrepresented as a witch in local stories. In tradition and saga, Benita is called Isla Benita and is given a blame for the death of her first two spouses and the insanity of the third, as a bad employer for her servants and as a witch. Contemporary documents describe her only indirectly and do not confirm how true or false is the popular image of her, nor how active she was in the events of her life. Gabriel Kramer, he was born in July 1704 and he died in January 1752. His age was 47 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Swiss mathematician known for his contributions to algebra and the study of curves. He became the sole professor of mathematics in 1734 and was appointed professor of philosophy at the Academy in 1750. Kramer was also involved in the politics of the Republic of Geneva, entered the First Council of 200 in 1734, then the Council of 60 in 1750. He was a member of the Science Academies of Bologna, Lyon, and Montpellier, as well as a foreign member of the Royal Society of London and the Royal Academy of Sciences of Berlin. Frederick Hasselquist, he was born in January 1722 and he died in February 1752. His age was 30 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Swedish naturalist and one of Carl Linnaeus' disciples. He explored the Middle East and documented its flora and fauna. He visited parts of Asia Minor, Egypt, Cyprus, and the land of Palestine, making large natural history collections. But his constitution, naturally weak, gave way under the fatigues of travel, and he died near Smyrna. On his way home, his collections reached home in safety, and 5 years after his death, his notes were published by Linnaeus, which was translated into French and German in 1762 and into English in 1766. Claude Joseph Jofa, he was born in August 1685 and he died in March 1752. His age was 67 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was the brother of Etienne François Joffre. Like his brother, he was an apothecary and chemist. Having a considerable knowledge of botany, he devoted himself especially to the study of the essential oils in plants. A French chemist known for his work in essential oils and plant compounds, notably the discovery of coumarin. In May 1711, he was elected a member of Royal Academy of Sciences Botany section, subsequently transferring to the chemistry section in 1715 In 1731, he attained the title of alderman in Paris. Sophia of Saxe-Weissenfels, Countess of Brandenburg, Bayreuth. She was born in August 1684 and she died in May 1752. Her age was 67 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a German countess known for her support of the arts and contributions to Brandenburg's cultural life. Sophia was the daughter of Johann Adolf I, Duke of Saxe-Weissenfels. This made her a princess and a member of Albertine branch of the House of Brighton. Sophia had considerable influence on cultural life in Bayreuth, which was described as the finest venue for Singspiel in Germany. Sophia brought her love for German language opera to Weissenfels. Johann Alexander Thiele. He was born in March 1685 and he died in May 1752. His age was 67 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German landscape painter, noted for his evocative depictions of natural scenes and his influence on German Romanticism. After 5 years of apprenticeship as a printer in Erfurt, he married in Arnstadt in 1710 and moved to Dresden in 1715, where he copied old paintings. He was a student of Christoph Ludwig Agricola and worked briefly with Adam Maniocchi, although he remained an autodidact. In 1722, he presented his paintings for the first time in a carnival held at the Zwinger Palace. Gio Nicola Bager. He was born in May 1698 and he died in March 1752. His age was 53 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Maltese Baroque painter known for his religious works that adorned many churches in Malta. He had a workshop where the fellow painter Francesco Zahra probably began his training. He and Zahra were close friends, and the latter's early work was heavily inspired from the former, such that their style was almost indistinguishable, and that some of his works attributed to Zahra might be actually his. For example, Holy Family with God the Father at the Toxian Parish Church was formerly widely attributed to both artists. Julio Alberoni. He was born in May 1664 and he died in June 1752. His age was 88 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an Italian cardinal and statesman in the service of Philip V of Spain, an influential Italian cardinal and statesman who played a key role in modernizing Spain's economy and military during the early 18th century. During the War of the Spanish Succession, Alberoni laid the foundations of his political success by the services he rendered to Louis Joseph, commander of the French forces in Italy, to whom the Duke of Parma had sent him. Old Brighton. He was born in 1695 and he died in June 1752. His age was 57 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an 18th century Piankashaw chieftain who fought against the French in 1747. In November 1750, he signed a friendship treaty with the British Indian agent George Croghan, which was cemented during the visit by Indian scout Christopher Gist in February 1751. He had acquired the nickname La Demoiselle from the French, which translates to young lady or damselfly, but was supposedly a grandiloquent rendering of the meaning of Mimi Shekia, Miami Illinois for dragonfly, signifying Ficolor capricious. The English referred to Mimishikya as Old Brighton due to his steadfast attachment to the English and their trade goods. Divasahayam Pillai, he was born in April 1712 and he died in January 1752. His age was 39 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a Hindu convert to Christianity who was executed for his faith, later canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church. He was an Indian layman and martyr of the Catholic Church. He was canonized as a saint of the Church by Pope Francis on 15th May 2022. His family had much influence in the royal palace of Maharaja Marhatanda Verma, king of Travancore, and Nilakandan went into service of the royal palace as a young man. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.